I'm John Sanpetro, and on this episode of the Stamping is My Business podcast, we're going to answer the question, is this the best time ever for your stamping business? As I sit here in the middle of June of 2019 recording this, I realize that I've been working with stamping business owners now for almost 20 years. I've been around the industry for longer than really all but a few stamping business owners. And it's given me the ability to have that sort of 30,000-foot view, that long-term perspective of the industry, where we were, where we are, and where we're going. And a lot of people will ask me, is this a good time to get going with my stamping business? Is it too late? What's going on? And so I found myself just pondering that question recently. And in order to answer it, I thought about 4 different areas of business, of the marketplace, and I want to share them with you and talk about what I think about each of those areas, and then, at the conclusion of this podcast, answer that question for you. The first area is technology. When I first started, there wasn't a lot of technology 20 years ago, which doesn't seem like a long time ago, because I think we've adapted and adopted technology to such a degree that it's hard to imagine a time without it. But 20 years ago, there wasn't a lot of technology happening in the stamping business world. Electronic mailing lists were not a big thing. Most stamping business owners were still putting their newsletters on paper every month. They were using programs like PrintShop to compose a newsletter, and then they were getting copies of the newsletter made, folding them into threes, and stuffing them into envelopes themselves, and, putting postage on every one, and they would do that every single month and mail them out. Most of the people who were on the mailing list were very local, and that was really all you could afford. Very few people had websites back then. Having a website 20 years ago cost a lot of money. Remember that blogs didn't really exist back then. You generally had just a static website. And so to have that static website, you would pay quite a bit of money for the site itself. You would pay quite a bit of money for hosting. Even just to get the domain name was much more expensive then than it is now. Advertising, you didn't have as many opportunities for, advertising using modern technology. You were still basically using old media, print advertising, things like that, if you could afford it. And even if you could afford it, you would only do it locally. Credit cards, you didn't take credit cards generally, and if you did, you were probably processing them manually. There wasn't an auto, no one had cell phones with the swipey things to take credit cards. So that was where things were when I first started working with stamping business owners 20 years ago. And now 20 years later, think about where we are, right? Technology has never been better. Technology has never made it easier to reach out to so many people with so little effort. I mean, think about your mailing list. You've got your blog. You've got your Facebook business page, Facebook groups, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, commenting on other people's blogs, other forums, other Facebook groups. And listen, everything that I just listed there, from the mailing list on, everything that I just listed there will only cost you about $30 a month, probably a little bit less. Now think about that. For $30 a month or less, you could reach literally thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of people. You can market your products not just locally, but nationally. And if you offer services like online classes and things like that, you could actually market those products around the world. And because of sites like PayPal and Stripe and Venmo and Zedge, you can actually take credit card payments from pretty much anyone, anywhere, anytime. So from a technological standpoint, honestly, it has never been better, and I suspect that it's only going to continue to get better. The second area that I looked at when I was thinking about whether or not this is the best time ever for your stamping business was paid marketing opportunities. And there's a lot that I could go into in this area, but I'll just take Facebook ads, okay? Thanks to Facebook ads and the opportunity that you get with Facebook ads, you can spend as little as $5 a day on Facebook ads. And you could add literally a few hundred people to your mailing list every month. Now, if you're doing the math in your head and the first thing that you're thinking about is, oh my gosh, that's $150. That's a lot of money. You're thinking the wrong way. Because think about what that $150 is getting you. If that $150 is getting you a couple of hundred mailing list subscribers, if you're not able to convert that 150, 200 mailing list subscribers into $150 in extra profit, then you've got a bigger problem than the $150, right? 20 years ago or 10 years ago, $150 wouldn't get you squat when it came to advertising. You couldn't advertise even on websites, even doing banner ads on websites. $150 got you nothing. It got you nothing in a newspaper. It got you nothing in a magazine. Forget it. They wouldn't even look at you. Maybe you could run a classified ad. And that's what people used to do. So from the paid marketing opportunity perspective, yeah, this is definitely the best time ever. The third area I looked at when I was thinking about whether or not this was the best time ever for your stamping business was consumer habits. Think about this. In the old days, everything used to be face-to-face. In order to sell product, you generally had to look the customer in the eye. That meant that you needed to be in front of them, which cost you a lot of time. You were literally trading time for dollars, trading time for sales. And getting in front of a lot of people was not an easy thing. Number one, because you only had a finite amount of time. And number two, because you didn't have a lot of opportunities to get in front of that many people. Most stamping business owners were booking workshops and home parties. I mean, one workshop after another. I had clients back then who were doing 3-4 parties a week. They were out doing workshops and home parties, just most of the week, more often than not. And every time they went into one of those workshop situations, they didn't know what to expect. They probably said a little prayer outside, in their car outside the hostess's home, that the hostess actually did her job and got people to the event. And, honestly, as often as not, she didn't. And people who said they were going to come didn't come, or the hostess was uncomfortable calling people and so never really got around to inviting people. And so you would be doing a workshop and spending 2 or 3 hours of your time with maybe 2, 3, 4 people in a room. Not the best use of your time, but for many stamping business owners 10, 20 years ago, the best you could get. And even if people came, depending on how the hostess positioned it, you might not sell any product. That was a lot of hostesses. I always heard the story, hostesses telling guests, oh, just come, you don't have to buy anything. No one wants that. Why are you doing that? But that's what happened. And if you mentioned that you were also selling online, people would look at you funny. Now, though, people prefer to buy online. People have realized that buying online is convenient, that it saves them time, and it allows them to spend more time on the things they love to do more. And so you're able to then sell online, which doesn't require a direct one-to-one trade of time for dollars. It means that you can set up automated processes that allow you to sell 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And because it's not face-to-face, again, you don't have to just sell locally. Now you can sell nationally. If it's your product, you can sell internationally if it's a service like an online class. So yeah, from the consumer habit standpoint, this is definitely a best ever situation. And finally, the fourth area that I looked at when I was thinking about the question, is this the best time for your stamping business, was competition. And whether or not you have more or less competition today than you did several years ago. And I'm going to tell you the simple truth. And the simple truth is this: because of the way the business opportunity has been marketed by the companies for the past few years, there are far fewer people signing up who want to do this as a business. Now, I personally think that this is a bad strategic move long term for the industry and for the companies, but it is what it is. And what it means to you, and this is important, what it means to you is that there is far less competition for you. Far, far less competition for you. Yeah, I mean, you'll always have some competition, and on the other side of that, you'll always have people who are willing to give it away, but you can outmarket the people who are actually trying to sell, and I don't even worry about the people who are giving it away, because those people they're always going to be there. They come and go because they burn out quickly, because someone gave them bad advice and told them this was the way they had to do it, or because they didn't know any better, or because they were too scared to do it any other way. But they come and go. And believe me when I tell you, there are a lot of potential customers who are not looking for that kind of bargain. They're looking for quality. And they do not even trust someone who gives away too much for free. So from a competitive standpoint, is this a better time than it ever has been? Again, absolutely. So let's review. Technology-wise, best time ever. Paid marketing opportunities-wise, best time ever. Consumer habits-wise, best time ever. Competition-wise, best time ever. So, is this the best time ever for your stamping business? Absolutely the best time ever. So if you have not gotten started yet, if you're on the fence, if you're feeling discouraged, I want you to bookmark this podcast. And I want you to come back and listen to it again and again and again. I want you to use this podcast as an affirmation that you can listen to move your mindset into a more positive place. I want you to listen to it. I want you to be inspired by it. And then I want you to get to work, because this is absolutely the best time ever for your stamping business. If you enjoyed this episode of the Stamping is My Business podcast, please feel free to like it, share it, subscribe to it, and listen to more. You can find us on iTunes, Google Play, our website, stampingismybusiness.com, and on our Facebook page, facebook.com/stampingismybusiness. If you have questions or ideas for future episodes, please email them to me at john@stampingismybusiness.com. This is John Sanpetro, and I'm just trying to get you paid.